Miller Motorsports Park in Tuella, Utah, about a half an hour west of Salt Lake City. We're using the outer course at Miller Motorsports Park, 15 turns, a little over 3 miles. We're about to look at the Spec Miata race. And my name is Bill Wood. I'm with John Lindsay. And what you can expect from this race, you won't see a lot of speed, but you'll see as much competition as you will see in any race, anywhere, at any time, for any reason. These guys bang and battle, and it's going to be a spectacular event.
Yeah, we have 43 Spec Miatas here coming down to our green flag. Again, the Spec Miata class is the 90 through 99, I believe, Mazda Miata. 1.6 and 1.8 liter motors using the Toyo RA1 tire again. There are different weight breaks for the 1.6 and the 1.8 cars, and we can see our 2009 champ was Andrew Rushing, so he'll be back trying to defend, but he's going to have a great deal of work to do because it's going to be a big competition here. These guys are competing for some pretty major dollars with the Mazda Speed Motorsports development money. The Toyo money in cash, our friends at Hawk Brakes have a pretty generous program too. And there's another facet, Bill, that these guys have a shot at winning.
You can see them warming up their tires now as they get ready to start this race. They're running behind the pace car. Let's get the top 10, which includes the CEO of a racetrack.
Well, I don't know if David is up there, but the number 1 car, Sammy Valifar out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Number 2 in the order, number 72, Dean Thomas. Looks like he is in that second shot. Just ran here last weekend on the outer course in the Mustang Challenge. Tyler Vance, one of our younger drivers, 3rd position. Tyler Dahl, 4th. Grant Westmoreland in the 5th position. Darren Polsley in 6th. We've got Mark Franklin in the 7th position. Kyle Jones in 8th. Team Applied Racing in the 9th position. And my old friend Clement Lee from Southern California in Rush Motorsports. He's in the 10th spot as we come down to the start here. Looks like they're going through the Tuella turn behind that Mazda pace car that we have out here today.
There are 15 turns, and this backside is where we've seen a lot of action. There's a straight. They're going through what's called the kink right there. Very few will have to lift there. Certainly these cars won't. They'll go through there. They'll be flat out through here. They're coming up on the clubhouse turn. Now, these last 3 turns, clubhouse, wind up, and release, those last 3 turns are maybe the most important turns on the track because releases you onto a 3,000-foot runway. This is a long straightaway here, and with these cars, momentum is so important because they're down on power compared to some of the other classes, and they will need to keep their momentum up. If they come off of the turn too slow, make a mistake, they're going to have a problem at the end of the straightaway down there. The pace car has left the track. They're lined up. Looks like it's going to be a clean start, very close. You can see it's going to take them maybe a lap or so to get up to speed. But they're coming out of release right now. The starter has the green flag. He's looking over the field. Starter has the green flag, and this race is about to go down. You see the green flag? We're off.
Here we go, and look at them. They are pushing each other down the straight, and that is so important, getting that little bump. Sammy Valifar getting a little help there as he protects that inside line. Geez, in some case, it looks like 3, 4, 5 wide. It looks like the 405 at rush hour there for all of you familiar with L.A. traffic.
Right, isn't that the truth? Any freeway in Los Angeles. They're going into turn 1 right now. They are 2 wide. That's a fairly clean. That's a lot cleaner than I expected. I guess they respect each other enough and know that you can't win on the first lap, but they're getting busy now. They're going 3 wide into turn 2 and 3. This is another important area of the track because it's another place where the turns are fairly tight and often, and you're going to have to maintain your momentum against the field.
Yeah, it looks like someone got punted off there a little bit and went to do some agricultural excursions, but that's to be expected in tight racing like this. But these folks have been doing really well all weekend. I talked to their race director, James Johnson, JJ, out of South Carolina, and he said that they have been remarkably good for him all weekend. So let's see if they can keep it up through this championship race.
JJ might have the perfect personality for this because we were having some fun last night, and JJ survived that, and he's the perfect personality for something like Spec Miata.
And he's just had his 40th birthday, so now he is truly seasoned.
Yeah, I got sweaters older than him. That's cool. But we are watching the start of the Spec Miata race, going through the up towards the Beatitudes, and at this track they have this is another one of the important areas. And Beatitudes is the S's. Turn 8 is first attitude, turn 9 is second attitude, and turn 10 is bad attitude.
It looks like Sammy Valifar is trying to get a little space there, and we've seen that in a lot of these spec races where the fellow who's the pole sitter is really able to get a little bit of breathing room there, and that has worked to their advantage throughout. But that second pack is not letting Sammy get too far away at all.
This is going to be as close as they're going to be closer throughout because the competition is so close. The cars are so equal. But here we have the first car has come through with about a 3-second lead over the rest of the field.
Looks like Tyler Vance is in there, one of our younger drivers, not giving Sammy any breathing room. Looks like 0.13 seconds behind there.
Sammy Valifar, Dean Thomas, Grant Westmoreland, that's the top 4. Got 43 cars. I don't know if we're going to... We'll try to cover all of them. You might have a friend, a son, a father, a brother in this field, but we'll try to cover them all for you. If you want to keep track of it, you can go to NASAchampionships.com. There's a live timing and scoring link on the home page, and you'll be able to see the live timing and scoring from the track and follow along. If your driver, your favorite driver, is not in the top of the field, but you can still follow along, get their progression, see what their times are per lap, if they get faster or slower. There's someone got punted out to the outside.
Well, I don't know if that was a punt. It looked like he just got a little too aggressive and decided that it was a drift competition rather than the road race.
Well, that happens. In fact, Mazda at one point, they built 2 cars using Formula Atlantic motors, and they were using them in drift competition.
Well, I can tell you Mazda is involved in every form of motorsports that we do, and the support that they give all of the weekend racers out here is really, really unmatched, from getting them parts quickly to technical assistance, and of course these pretty amazing contingency programs that they've come up with for us.
Now, would you say that the winner of this could possibly go away with his more than $8,000?
$8,500 in cold hard cash between Mazda and Toyo, and then another thing that we learned today is that the winner of this race will also be eligible to go to a driver shootout that they have that Mazda puts on every year. And the winner of that shootout gets a full ride for a full season in the MX-5 Pro Cup.
And they're talking about maybe 15 drivers. And then Mazda is serious about this because they want each one of the drivers that will get an invitation, anyone who wins a season championship in NASA or SCCA, and several other categories, they will get invited. They will be asked to put together a business plan, not just Johnny Rocket Racer, but a business plan for how you plan to go racing. And then from that, they're going to choose 5 or 6 drivers to go to this final gong show, shall we say, and the winner of that gets a full MX-5 Cup ride in the future. So there's a lot at stake here for some of these people who were running at the front of the line.
Looks like we had a little bit of a shuffle in the top 5 there. Sammy's still out in front. Tyler Vance right behind him. Grant Westmoreland, Mark Franklin, Tyler Dahl, Dean Thomas are our top 6. And there was a little bit of a shuffle there. You could see that they were trading a little bit of paint maybe, and definitely trading some positions back and forth in that top echelon of the field.
So you see some guys have moved up. Mark Franklin, Tyler Dahl, that Dean Thomas, that's 4, 5, and 6. Looks like Mark Franklin jumped in front of Dahl, and Dean Thomas fell in back of Dahl. Probably got caught in a 3 wide and went through the field, and that was it. There's so much of this racetrack that you could see and not see. There's a lot of racing. In fact, on the other side of bad attitude over there, if somebody gets too crazed, there is about 15,000 Boy Scouts that are just on the other side of the hill to the right of where the drivers are going through right now. There's a Boy Scout jamboree that's going on over there, and a lot of the Boy Scouts have come over here to watch the racing. They've collected stickers and talked to drivers and just had a grand time, including watching some of the young ladies who work the victory lane and cheerleaders who help celebrate the winners that go to the races. So it's a grand time is being had by all here at Miller Motorsports Park.
Well, now you can see Sammy still keeping that about 5-second interval or so until we get back to Tyler. But that next pack of cars is starting to catch up to Tyler Vance here, and it really is still tight. I mean, that top 10, you could definitely have a shot if you're anywhere in that group right now.
Now, how does a guy who Sammy Valifer and Tyler Vance, Grant Westmoreland, Mark Franklin, Tyler Dahl, Dean Thomas, how do they maintain, especially for Sammy Valifer, that he's got about a 2-second lead on the field? How does he maintain that if these cars are so close in the performance and power?
Well, running out front, you have a little bit of an advantage because the air is all yours, and that's an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how you look at it. But you're also not having to plan anyone else's problems right now because Sammy doesn't have any lap traffic to deal with. So he's able to choose whatever line he wants, hopefully see any hazards, and really, really just run that perfect time trial type line as he goes around. And that can be a real advantage when you're out front of a huge field like this. You can see some really dramatic moving around and trying to find that one little piece of real estate. And you don't want to try and violate any of the laws of physics and go in somewhere where there's already a car, but it's a challenge when there's 43 of you out there and you're all just spec prepared like this.
But are they looking for a draft? Are they looking for a draft on each other to help get around?
I would say the only place they're looking for a draft maybe after Tooele turn, coming down into the clubhouse turn, and of course our landing strip, as we've been calling it, on the front straight. They really want to find a draft there. But for the most part, I think they're just looking for position and opportunity. You can see Sammy there is using the whole track and rubbing the gators a little bit, but he is driving a pretty much perfect line as far as I can see around this track.
Now you can see that the attitudes, the S's there, the fast guys are using both the rumble strips on both sides of the track. So that I remember when I was in driving school, the instructor used to say, drive it over here, drive it over there. But when you're going at speed, that's where you end up. So he's using a good line. He's opened up an enormous lead. Maybe 5 seconds now.
Yeah, it
He's
looks
gaining,
like 5 or 6 seconds.
He's gaining time on the field. Sammy Valifer.
Well, here comes number 50 is really starting to come up. Team Applied Racing is starting to come up on Tyler Vance pretty good. Looks like they are coming across the line pretty close there.
He's gotten around Mark Franklin somewhere on the track.
Yeah, it looks like we've had a little more shifting again in our results. We're just waiting for things to update a little bit here, but it looks like Tyler Vance still in second, Applied Racing third place. We have Mark Franklin has moved up into up the order a little, actually dropped down. He's down into fourth. Dean Thomas in fifth, and we have Darren Polsley up and moving up the order a little bit.
Now we see Team Applied Racing. He's right on Team Applied Racing is right on the bumper of Tyler Vance. We may have a change in position here. Team Applied Racing was a second faster than Tyler Vance on that last lap. So he was able to really close on him. He's going to the inside, dives on the inside, makes the pass now, and he is, Valifer is still lapping a little faster. He's about a second faster, nearly a second faster than Team Applied Racing. So it may be something else may have to happen for him to catch Sammy. But he has passed Tyler Vance to go into second place. Tyler Vance has been running in second since the drop of the green flag. Well, although he's not giving it up too easily. He's right there on the shoulder, hopefully to get another opportunity to go back to the lead, go back to the second place.
We've been calling it out as Team Applied Racing because that's how it's listed on our registration forms, but actually that's Andy Rushing, who was last year's champion for us.
Oh, so there's every chance. And obviously he knows what he's doing. He was last year's champion.
I think so. He just may have a pretty good understanding considering the win he put on last year. But, boy, Tyler's not letting him get away at all as they come down into the clubhouse turn there. Sammy's still out front, and it may be a case again where those two guys behind him are battling a little bit, and then they're losing time, and who knows if they suddenly have that light bulb go off and start working together to catch up to Sammy.
But each one of the previous races, they have worked out their differences, and in the last 3 or 4 laps, they have closed. We saw that in the Camaro Mustang Challenge race early. We saw that in the last race, in the 944 race.
Now, I see a little bit of teamwork going on. I think they're drafting together there. I think they had that light bulb go off because Tyler Vance is tucked right up behind Andy Rushing there. And that may give both of them a little bit of speed. It'll pick up the rear end of Rushing's car and give a little bit of a push. Maybe that chrome horn will come out and bump him down the straight a little bit and help them catch up to Slam and Sammy Valifar.
We hear about bumping in stock car racing where they kind of bump the car along to give it more speed. Is that something that happens in a competition like this?
It does, and it's a source of controversy because there are two schools of thought. One school of thought says, hey, it's in our rule book it says it's nose-to-tail contact, which is something that really doesn't result in any kind of penalty. But a lot of people frown on the bumping aspect because it can help you get a little burst of speed there when you're together, and the back car will hit the front car and go on, and they'll keep going on and going on. So it can be a little bit of an advantage if you get someone who's willing to work with you and bump you down the straight a little bit and gave you that mile an hour that may be very helpful.
We just saw someone sort of slide their way into position change there. But we still have Sammy Valifar in first place by at least 2 or 3 seconds. Andy Rushing, last year's champion, has moved into second ahead of Tyler Vance, who was in third. So we've got the fast guys in front and starting to work itself out. And generally, the faster guys are they don't have a problem. They'll get caught up in traffic. But obviously, the faster guys are going to be at the front of the line.
Well, and I saw something interesting there. Number 10 was easing up on number 25, Mark Franklin. And number 10 is Dan McKeever. And Dan here is the chief instructor, I believe, for the Miller Driving School. So he's got a wee bit of a home court advantage, and he can drive. He was setting down some amazing times in all of the races that we were watching earlier. So keep an eye on that number 10 as he starts to work up through the traffic.
It is a long track, and there are 15 turns, 3.05 miles around this thing. But they're getting lined up. You can see the draft working, especially with third and fourth place now. So was that 72?
Looks like it's Darren Polsey there, Dean Thomas, and they are all right there together with Andy Rushing. You can see those 3 cars kind of working together, and they're trying to get that speed going to get them away from that next pack of cars that's coming after them, and also maybe try to pull them up a little bit closer to Sammy as they get through this race.
So we're about to go to break here. It's kind of settled out now. Valifar, Rushing, Vance, Thomas, Polsley, Franklin, McKeever, Westmoreland, Dahl, and Randy Evans. That's our top 10, and they're all running in the 2:19, 2:20 range. The fastest guy on that last lap, in fact, was Dean Thomas, who is currently in fourth place. He had a 2:19.8. We're going to take a break and be right back. Right after this break, NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires. We're looking at the Spec Miata race here at Miller Motorsports Park. Come on back. We're going to see some great racing.
The 2010 National Autosport Association Spec Miata National Championship is brought to you by Mother's Polishes, Waxes, and Cleaners. Nothing shines like Mother's. And Toyo Tires, driven to perform.
Quality and value. Style. Performance. Sure, you want it all. Just don't want to spend it all. No problem. Just go with the brand voted #1 overall, Toyo Tires. For 7 of the last 9 years by people who know best. Independent tire dealers, just like me. So for top quality and top value, Take it from the pros. Toyo tires.
This is our top 10 in the Spec Miata. Sammy Valifer, Andy Rushing is last year's champion, is in that Team Applied Racing number 50. Tyler Vance, Dean Thomas, Darren Posley. But we pointed out, we noticed that the two fastest cars on the last lap were actually Dean Thomas in 4th and was Dan McKeever in 7th. They did around a 19, McKeever did a 19.4, Thomas did a 19.8. So watch those two cars. McKeever is number 10 and Thomas is number 72. Those cars are the fastest ones on the track. Thomas did another 2:19.9 on that last lap, a little faster than McKeever, about a little less than half a second faster. So Thomas is the guy. He's not in first place yet, but this is a 40-minute race, and we're just 16 minutes into this, so we haven't even gotten to the halfway point.
Wow, look at that battle between, that's Tyler Vance and Andy Rushing there, just really going after it. And they were swapping positions back and forth, inside line, outside line, and trying to find it. And look at that tight pack coming up right now. I don't think you can fit a playing card in between a bunch of those cars.
Yeah, they're banging and bumping. The crazy thing about watching a race is that the best racing, in this case, is a perfect example, may not be happening in the first place. First place is checked out. But the battle for second, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars there that, in theory, could be challenging for that position. Probably the two in front are so those.
That's Darren Posley has slipped up into that
6, 7,
third position.
Third place, yeah. The battle is the closest racing is the battle for third.
Yeah, Sammy is still checking out pretty good, but you can see, look at that right now. Darren Posley is challenging Andy Rushing on the outside as they come up into release. See how that works out. I don't know if they're both going to make it through there clean.
Now that's the wrong line, isn't it? That to be on the outside and coming through release.
Well, he made it work.
It's a drag race now. They're neck and neck now between Posley and Rushing, going under the start-finish to turn 1. We'll see how they are able to make it all work going into turn 1. It's a wide track, but there's only maybe 1.5 lanes to get through, and they make it 2.
Oh boy, and it really was mano a mano, where they are trying to figure out who's going to lift first, and boy, is that a chicken contest when you're trying to figure out who's going to hit those brakes first.
That's just, I don't care if you don't like slow cars, that's great racing. You've got to pay attention to that. And Posley gets around Rushing, last year's champion. So you know the guy in the orange and white, number 50, he knows what he's doing. He won a championship last year, and the guy just went around him on the outside.
Look at this. They're both trying to select the line, but you got to plan about 3 turns ahead when you're dealing with a momentum car like this.
Yeah, and then three turns ahead, like you said. Oh. And Rushing has gone out too far. Now, how long is it going to take him to get back up to that line? He's lost at least 2 positions in that one small, just that little wiggle right there. He lost 2 positions. And now he was second on the last lap, and now he's back to 4th.
Guess what? That's Dan McKeever coming up and heating up Darren Posley's bumper now. So we were right to keep a hairy eyeball on Dan McKeever there, because he is really starting to come up the order. And I bet he will challenge here and try to go after Sammy Valifer if he can get around Darren Posley.
Dean Thomas, Posley, and McKeever. Those are the 3 fastest cars on the track. We've seen Posley move up through the field. He's now second, and McKeever is third.
And you saw that small error, how much that cost Andy Rushing. He just got his tires on the gator there, loosened him up, boom, out of there, and probably lost. He lost a good 3 positions there just in the blink of an eye.
We're about 19 minutes into this 40-minute race, so we're about halfway through. He's got time to catch up, especially if somebody makes a mistake. But these guys they don't get to the national championships at NASA by making mistakes. These are good drivers. They understand momentum. They understand competition, which some guys don't. They don't understand the competition necessary to win a championship. But Magic Johnson used to call it winning time. And right now, it's a 40-minute race, but this is winning time right now,
Right.
halfway through this race. They're working out who's going to lead and who's going to win this event.
And
There's
Andy
Rushing dives under, going into, what's that, 2?
Yeah, he's going into that first corner. He took it back from, I think that is Tyler Vance again. He took back that position he lost with that bobble. But Sammy Valifar, I just took a quick count on him, and he's about 11 seconds ahead of the field. So he is really using the fact that the other guys are battling so hard behind him and heating up their tires and really having to work hard, and he's just out there running that perfect time trial line. And look at McKeever trying to challenge on the inside of Posley. Posley says, forget it, I'm taking the time trial line, but McKeever's going to stick it in there in the inside line. They're giving each other room. Oh, boy. That is close racing right there.
Now, passing a guy on the outside like that, you got to have a lot of speed and momentum over him. We keep mentioning momentum. That's the most important thing in racing, especially when all the cars are relatively close and equal in competition and performance. Momentum is the most important thing. If you lose momentum, you are toast, because we saw what happened with Andy Rushing. He lost his momentum, went wide in one turn, fell from second to fourth, and has been able to move back into third, but he's a long way back from where he was. And the leader, Sammy Valifar, number 77, is running some of the fastest times on the track. His last lap was 19.7. He was the only one in the 19s, so he has a big lead and is even opening it up.
What you can see is Sammy is just able to concentrate on driving a qualifying lap every lap.
Doesn't have to worry about guys banging on him and becoming a nuisance like that pesky. You in the Midwest understand mosquitoes, and when the mosquito is flying by at night, and that noise just drives you crazy. And a lot of these guys are mosquitoes back here that are driving you crazy. Sammy doesn't have to worry about that.
Oh, yeah, and we saw a good pass there. I think Dean Thomas came around Tyler Vance on the outside of release there. That was a brave move, because if you go off to the outside of release, it's a lot of gravel and then a lot of steel.
Yeah, they've got 2 draft lines going down the front straight.
It's like a conga line here, I tell you. These guys are not messing around. You can see there a little pull out, try to sniff around on the inside. That's Dean Thomas again. Looks like Tyler got him back on the straight. I think that's Dean. I'm just not sure. Yeah, it looks like Tyler got him back, and now coming around both of them is Tyler Dahl, making a run right now on Tyler Vance. Tyler on Tyler.
Yeah, that's a fight for position in 6th and 7th, back in the line. Now, tell me about the NASA rule again. You're allowed 1 move per turn to protect your position, and if you move a second time, that's called blocking.
Yeah, and you can get looks like somebody got off. He just lost your place in line there, and now he's got to struggle to make up, I think. Yeah, that's a hard thing. You go 3 wide into a corner that only fits 2, and you're the outside guy. Well, looks like the chrome horn. Dean Thomas is using that chrome horn to say, hey, I'm coming through. Get out of my way.
Dean Thomas is one of the faster guys on the track. Right now, he's back in 6th. But they will work their way around. That's Posley, number 51. He's 2nd. There is a car in front of him, Sammy Valifar, who has been at the front of this line from the very beginning. Sammy Valifar, Darren Posley, Dan McKeever, Tyler Vance, and Andy Rushing, last year's champion, is back in 5th.
We've got that 3-car pack, the 2, 3, and 4. We've got Posley, McKeever, and Rushing, and they are really trying to put some distance between them and that next pack and catch up to Sammy Valifar, who really is starting to just continue that good lead and just checking out.
And like Valifar has crossed the finish line right there. Now, I'll tell you when the second place car goes across the finish line to give you an idea of how far ahead he is.
You can see that perspective.
Bam, Posley right there. So he is at least 9, maybe 10 seconds ahead. He's not losing concentration. He's not losing momentum. He is just hammering. How much horsepower do these cars have, John?
You know, at the wheels, I believe they're in the 110 or so range, 115, somewhere like that. Very stock motors. They're allowed a little tweaking here and there, but they really are stock motors. The 1.6s are running with no restriction whatsoever. The 1.8 cars usually have a restrictor that's placed in the intake track to bring the power down a little bit over that 200cc advantage that they have. And then we also use weight brakes to even out the other cars. And then the 99 cars, we also try to even them out by slapping a restrictor on them and a little more weight, because it's just an evolution of the car. But it's a real challenge to take 3 different generations of Miatas, even though that might sound like a trivial difference, and make them run equally. So we're trying to adjust all the time and looking to constantly monitoring results to make sure all 3 platforms are equal and one isn't the hot setup.
Wow.
It's a lot of work.
Tough. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, we've even started employing some more advanced technology. We're starting to use GPS units to verify horsepower numbers, so someone's not trying to sneak one in on us, and we also are using that GPS as a tool.
Work?
Well, what we do is the GPS, we're working with a company called TrackMate now, and what we do is these units are able to look at GPS satellites and measure relative acceleration and things of that nature. And not only can you look at a horsepower calculation based on what the car weighs and how quickly it's able to accelerate that mass, you can also look at things about what cars are able to carry more speed in different ways and really find out if one chassis has an advantage over another by digging into that data and really working hard on it to make sure that someone doesn't get an unfair advantage, I guess as it used to be called.
John Lindsay is the Chief Divisional Director for NASA and has run, we just heard him talk about in the previous race, the 944 Spec class. He was the race director for a year or more with those guys. So he understands how all this works. And I didn't know about that GPS thing, especially measuring rates of acceleration. That's going to tell you a little more than just dyno numbers. You have a dyno over here, and just tell you dyno numbers, the rates of acceleration are going to tell you where the cars need to be a little more equal.
Right, and you can tell things, if weight is making a difference, track width, all kinds of different specs that each chassis may have an advantage. And what you do is then try to put your thinking cap on and figure out ways to make all those cars as even as possible in every parameter so they run the same lap time and they really are equal.
Let's get back to the race here. We still, wow, who's that? Is that Rushing?
Oh, I think that's Andy Rushing. He's
gone way off. He didn't lose any position, but he lost ground to the cars he was chasing.
And he's got sloppy tires now, so he just got 2 guys by, almost 2 by him. Looks like Grant Westmoreland and Dean Thomas came up and capitalized on that. Oh, and then Dean got a little loose there.
And it's going to take him, maybe at least half a lap to clean those tires back off?
It depends. The tires are hot enough that, and they're going quick enough that they'll get cleaned off. And here comes Tyler Vance, I think, and he is...
but he's losing time. I hope he doesn't have a problem. He's backing up now to the field.
Yeah. You never know what happened. Maybe when you go off like that, it can knock an alignment setting out, or even, cut a valve stem or something like that, and you really can all of a sudden lose that performance advantage that you had.
We've got Sammy Valifar, our leader. He's been leading. He was about a 10-second lead now. He's running 220 laps. I don't see any 219s in the list. 220.3. We've got Darren Posley, 220, 134. Dan McKeever, 220, 251. Andy Rushing, who fell back now, he's listed in 4th, but he might be as far back as 8th now after letting those cars, maybe 9th, letting those cars get by. We've got the leader, Sammy Valifar, has just crossed the start-finish line again. We're 28 minutes into this 40-minute race. Posley, McKeever, that's our top 3 right now.
There comes that group of 5 across the line, and man, they
Rushing
are just not
goes right up
around.
on a car and is pushing him along, trying to get a little help going into turn 1. As long as when he doesn't need him anymore, bam, you're out of here.
Right, exactly.
You can't help me anymore.
Thanks for the favor.
Yeah,
but,
thanks for the favor, but I'm out of here. Talk to you later.
Exactly. Now look at that. They're going to try 3 wide. Ooh, almost 3 wide there through that first turn.
Now, it would appear that Rushing had the good line through that first turn, but he'd still lost ground. That would indicate that He's something might be wrong with his car. He just got sideways there.
He's falling
lost
off.
even more ground. He's falling back. Either he's trying too hard or something is wrong with the car. Maybe he has a tire going down or something.
Well, and Dean Thomas just jerked inside there and got. Ooh, look at that! Yeah, no. Did you see the big wiggle? He got a big wiggle.
A little bit.
Yeah, and look at that wiggle, and I see smoke coming off that right side. So he may have a fender pushed into that right front tire or that right rear. Looks like his right rear fender might be pushed in, and that's just grinding away on that tire and probably making that car pretty hard to drive right now for him. That's a heartbreaker for Andy Rushing right there.
As defending champion in the Spec Miata class, he won the championship last year, but he's not going to do it this year. Looks like if everything sits the way it is now, that championship flag is going to go to Sammy Valifar.
Look at that right now. Sammy is coming down into the clubhouse turn, and he is really checking out on the next two. But Darren Polesley's hanging in there, and he's got Dan McKeever right behind him. So I think that's going to be an interesting race, seeing how P2 and P3 shake out as we go on. And here come 4 and 5. Grant Westmoreland looked like he made a nice pass there.
Sammy Valifar from Las Vegas, Nevada, against Darren Polesley from Walnut Creek, California. You can't find, there's not too many communities that might be more different than Walnut Creek and Las Vegas.
I would imagine so. Those are a little bit different.
Yeah, vastly different. One's in the desert, one isn't. One is, well, I guess in Las Vegas you can find fairly well-to-do and fairly not well-to-do. But Walnut Creek, you got to have some bank to live in Walnut Creek.
It looks like they're starting to come up on a lap traffic now. So now it's going to get interesting because Sammy's not going to have his pure, clean track all to himself, and he's going to have to get around some of that lap traffic. Where it'll get really interesting, though, is a little farther back in the field where we see what it'll do to Darren Polesley and Dan McKeever, who can manage the traffic better. And then that next pack, oh boy, when they start coming up on lap traffic, look out.
Polesley and McKeever. McKeever is a tick or so behind Polesley. Polesley's last lap was a 20.091. McKeever was a 20.193. So that is what, a tenth faster for Polesley.
Just about. And Sammy's still running a 2:21.55. So it's going to be awfully hard for those guys to pull up and catch him.
Yeah, right now, I don't want to say he's cruising because he's obviously not, but the two cars behind him are faster, but you're not going to close any ground when all you're doing is a tenth of a lap.
Yeah, no, we have to see a significant difference like when we saw Tyler Palmer there in the 944 race when he was closing up on David Dirks, and he made up a 3-second lap difference, and all of a sudden he was right there.
Yeah. Now these, we're a 40-minute race. We're about 32 minutes into that 40-minute race. They're doing a little over 2-minute laps, so we may only have, 3-4 laps left in this race.
Pretty soon. So there's going to be some shuffling there.
Let's get the break right now before we see the end of this race. We're about 3 or 4 laps from the end. In the NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires, we're looking at the Spec Miata race, and we're coming up on the end right now. Come on back to see the finish.
The 2010 National Autosport Association Spec Miata National Championship is brought to you by Mother's Polishes, Waxes, and Cleaners. Nothing shines like Mother's. And Toyo Tires, driven to perform.
Quality and value. Style. Performance. Sure, you want it all. Just don't want to spend it all. No problem. Just go with the brand voted #1 overall, Toyo Tires. For 7 of the last 9 years by people who know best. Independent tire dealers, just like me. So for top quality and top value, take it from the pros. Toyo Tires.
Welcome back. This is the NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires. We're looking at the Spec Miata race. We wanted to bring in Dean Case, who is the Mazda spokesperson. We've got pass for second here, the battle for second is going on here between Darren Posley and Dan McKeever. It looks like McKeever has gotten around Darren Posley. They're running at about the same speed. McKeever is maybe 2/10 faster than the last lap. Posley was maybe 2/10 faster than McKeever, but McKeever got around him. This momentum issue, we keep talking about it, but that's the most important thing that's happening in this race. McKeever's now in second. Valifor's checked out. He's in a different time zone compared to these guys. We've got Dean Case, who's here from Mazda. Dean, welcome. And how important, when you look at this, what is Mazda looking for some of these guys? We've already mentioned that some of these guys might end up in kind of a competition to get some support from Mazda for next year.
Well, the heart and soul of Mazda Speed is club racing. Spec Miata in particular, because we've got over 2,500 of these guys around the country and around the world for that matter, racing these cars. So it's a wonderful deal for us, and it's a place to spot talent.
Well, we're just got the white flag. You just gave the white flag to Sammy Valifar. He is the leader. If nothing goes wrong, he's going to be our national champion. But we are far from finished with this second place between McKeever, who's worked his way up to second place now. We're on the final lap. McKeever is ahead of Posley, and Posley's trying to say, don't count those chickens yet, partner. He stuck his nose in there. They go through turn one side by side, and we'll see if McKeever, this is the final lap. Is this something that you look at, Dean, when you watch these guys race? Are you looking at lines and their track manners, shall we say? Is that something that has a bearing on somebody you want to bring up into the Mazda Speed program?
Well, it is, but when we get to the shootout, it's the whole package. The driver's technical ability to give technical feedback, the business program, everything else. We know that any one of these guys out in the top 10 is a very, very talented racer. I mean, Spec Miata is one of the most hotly contested classes in road racing.
It looks like Posley, he's not giving up on this thing. He's a racer, so he's not giving up. McKeever is taking the line. He's not blocking. He's taking all the good lines through these turns and forcing Posley to go on the outside. Now they're going into this right-hander down here. McKeever has got the right line, and if Posley can get around him on the outside, that's his business. He's just got a faster car and got a better foot than he does. But it looks like when he got to the next turn, Posley was able to get around him. Now McKeever has got to answer that going into the final turn. They're coming up now, not the final turn, but the final lap. They're coming up now they just went through Tuella turn.
Coming up,
Posley's all the way out in the dirt there.
Oh, that's going to cost him.
And that slowed him down. He lost his momentum getting out in the dirt and allowed McKeever to catch up around him. They're coming up to clubhouse turn. McKeever is back in front of Posley. Where is Valifar?
Valifar's coming through release right now.
Coming through release right now. He's going to win the championship, but the race is for second place. Posley is answering, going into turn 15, into release. And he can't get to him, and McKeever is going to hold him off for second place. Third is Darren Posley. That's a spectacular race.
That was awesome. Right down. That was a nail biter right down to the end.
We've had 2 or 3 good ones in a row. So, Dean Case, when you look at this, Dean Case from Mazda Speed, what are you looking for? What do you take back from this? What do you learn from this when you go back?
Well, personally, that's not how we look at it. What we're here is we're trying to help make dreams happen, if you will. If you race with Mazda and you achieve a championship, we're going to help you get to that next level. It's not that we pick our favorite, we like this guy versus this guy. They're self-selected. They win a championship. They get to go to the shootout.
That's the first cutoff. You got to win a championship to get into the program.
So this is one of those things. It's not a matter of playing politics and impressing somebody. This is a matter of just going out and achieving on your own at this low level. And this isn't a low level. When you win against 40-plus drivers, this is a very serious championship. So you've earned the right to get to that shootout, and then you have to kind of convince a variety of judges, and actually none of them are Mazda people. We bring in outside experts. We'll have a tire engineer there to listen to the driver talk about what the tire is doing. And so we've got people who are looking at from all aspects of the sport. and then one driver will be promoted up to the next level of the Playboy MX5 Cup. And the track record, our last 3 shootout drivers just finished 1, 2, 3 in the championship. So if you can win Spec Miata, your driving talent is pretty much unquestioned. It's just a matter of, do you have everything else necessary? Because, it's not one thing that makes a great race driver.
We've just seen Sammy Valifar win the Spec Miata Championship here at the NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires. We're at Miller Motorsports Park. We've been talking to Dean Case from Mazda Speed. Before we get out of here, Dean, before we go to break, there's our running order at the end. Valifar, McKeever, Posley, Tyler Dahl. We didn't get a chance to talk too much about these other guys because the racing at the front was so great. We see down at the 10th place, last year's champion, Andy Rushing, fell all the way back to 10th. He was running as high as 2nd at one time, but he had the one mistake and probably had a problem with his car after that and fell back to 10th.
Also, take a look at 9th place, Derek Whitus. Derek Whitus won 2 of the Continental Tire Challenge races this year in an MX-5 on the pro level. And Derek only ran 9th here. That's how good these guys are in the NASA Club race.
So say that again. The car, number 55, the car that finished 9th,
Derek Whitus,
won 2 pro-level races, and here he is in 9th, almost 24 seconds back.
So, I mean, that's how good the competition is in NASA Spec Miata racing. It's very deep in the field.
And tell me, we got to go. But finally, Dean Case from Mazda. Tell me about Charles Esplanade. I talked to him this week. He's one that came up through the ladder program at Mazda, and he runs now in World Challenge and won the Continental Tire Championship. He is one of the the spotlight guys for the Mazda ladder program.
Well, he's a number of them. I mean, Charles, I have to be fair here. Charles actually won that championship in a non-Mazda product, but Charles races. He's a teammate to some guy named Patrick Dempsey that many non-racing fans have heard of from Grey's Anatomy. Charles is an all-round phenomenal driver. He can get in just about anything. And he'll go to a race weekend where he'll run 2 or 3 races in different cars. But we've got, right now, over the last 4 years, Mazda has promoted a total of 18 drivers to the next level, not based on, politics or anything of saying we like you. They earned it. And that's the key thing. They self-select is how we kind of phrase it. Your accomplishment should take you to that next level. And
we can't say enough at the NASA level about the support that Mazda gives us and our drivers. That makes such a difference to everything we do. So thank you for that.
Oh, we appreciate it. I mean, our senior vice president, Robert Davis, races with NASA. Need I say more?
This is the NASA National Championships presented by Toyo Tires. We just saw Sammy Valifar win the Spec Miata National Championship here at Miller Motorsports Park. We've been talking to Dean Case. I'm Bill Wood. That's John Lindsay. We're going to have still one more race coming up this afternoon. That's actually a time trial. We'll get a chance to see and talk about some of the time trial effort that goes on here in NASA. They have a time trial national championship that's still to happen. We're going to see part of that, and you'll get a chance to see how guys learned lines and guys that maybe don't want to go banging fender to fender but still have the same interest in high-speed competition. Come on back in about a half an hour. We're going to show you some more racing.
The 2010 National Autosport Association Spec Miata National Championship is brought to you by Mother's Polishes, Waxes, and Cleaners. Nothing shines like Mother's. And Toyo Tires, driven to perform.
Quality and value. Style. Performance. Sure, you want it all. Just don't want to spend it all. No problem. Just go with the brand voted #1 overall, Toyo Tires, for 7 of the last 9 years by people who know best. Independent tire dealers, just like me. So for top quality and top value, take it from the pros. Toyo Tires.